Brand new ad from Hillary Clinton on the issue of electability as we have brand new polls this morning showing tight races in both Iowa and New Hampshire. Here they are from NBC. The Iowa caucuses show that Hillary Clinton holding just a 3-point lead over Bernie Sanders, 48-45. And in New Hampshire, Bernie Sanders ahead, 50-46 over Hillary Clinton. Senator Sanders joins us this morning from Iowa. Thank you for joining us this morning, Senator. Neck and neck race.
It is. You know, George, when you consider how far we have come over the last 8 months, it really is incredible. We started at national polls at about 3%. I think most of the recent polls have us ahead in New Hampshire. I think we're gaining steam here in Iowa. I think we have an excellent chance to win here. And I think our message, the message that there's something profoundly wrong with the middle class continues to decline and almost all new wealth and income is going to the top 1%. That is a message that is resonating. People are tired of establishment politics, establishment economics. They want change, and that's what we're fighting for.
It does appear that Secretary Clinton could hit a nerve, though, with this issue of electability. You know, we conducted this focus group over the weekend. Frank Luntz conducted it, and some of the voters had some concerns about you and the electability issue. Let's listen.
My biggest thing is Bernie seems old.
Bernie is old. And I see how that office ages people. Bernie won't make it.
Can he go the distance? In my mind, no.
One of the biggest flaws of Bernie Sanders was to admit or state that he's a socialist.
People think it's communism.
So those issues of socialism, communism, and age getting in the way of your electability. How do you reassure those voters?
Well, for a start, I would urge those voters, voters all over this country, take a look at recent polls in which Bernie Sanders is matched with Republican candidates, Trump on down. Hillary Clinton is matched with Republican candidates. And you know what? In many of those polls, including the major recent one, Quinnipiac poll, we beat Trump nationally by 13 points. Secretary Clinton beat him by 7 points. Look at a recent New Hampshire poll, just in New Hampshire. We did much better against the Republican candidates than did Hillary Clinton. So if people are concerned about electability, and Democrats should be very concerned, because we certainly do not want to see some right-wing extremist in the White House, I think Bernie Sanders is the candidate. We're doing much better with independents. We even draw a little bit better with Republicans. So I believe, quite honestly, that with the enthusiasm that we are generating, with the kind of voter turnout that I think we can bring out. Look, Republicans win when people are demoralized and the voter turnout is low. Democrats and progressives win when working people and low-income people and young people get involved in the political process. And George, I think any objective look at our campaigns would suggest we have the energy, we can drive a large voter turnout.
So the fact that you're a Democratic Socialist, the fact that you'll be 75 on Election Day, not an issue?
I think the fact that we are bringing forth a message on issue after issue that are being supported by the American people, whether it's job creation, raising the minimum wage, climate change, making public colleges and universities tuition-free. Those are the issues that the American people are being galvanized around. They want us to take on the billionaire class and the greed of corporate America. That's what our campaign is about. And that's why I think we have the momentum.
That issue does seem to be working for you. Secretary Clinton making quite an issue of your background on gun control, particularly the vote you had back in the past, I think it was in 2005, to give immunity to gun manufacturers. She actually called in to Hardball just the other day. Here's what she said.
And when it really mattered, Senator Sanders voted with the gun lobby, and I voted against the gun lobby. So this is a significant difference, and it's important that, you know, maybe it's time for Senator Sanders to stand up and say, I got this one wrong, but he hasn't.
Did you get it wrong?
Well, what you had was a complicated piece of legislation. There were aspects of it that were absolutely right. There were aspects of it that were wrong. But as the Secretary knows, that for many weeks now, I said, of course I'll be happy to take a look at that complicated piece of legislation and deal with it and get rid of those.
Can you say right now that you would vote for it?
That are wrong. I will vote to revise that bill. There are parts of it that made sense to me. Look, George, if you have a small gun shop owner in northern Vermont who sells a gun legally to somebody, and then, you know, if something happens to that guy, he goes nuts or something, and he kills somebody, should the gun shop owner be held liable? I think not. On the other hand, if you have a manufacturer that is sending guns into an area and really knows that those guns are not being used by the people or bought by the people in that area, but are being sold to criminals, should we hold that manufacturer liable? Absolutely. So I think, I am absolutely willing, as I've said for many, many weeks, if not months, to take another look at that piece of legislation. But by the way, I would ask Secretary Clinton why she is not supporting legislation that I've introduced that would lift the cap on taxable income for Social Security so we could expand Social Security benefits. Why is she not supporting major piece of legislation in the House and the Senate for paid family and medical leave so that moms who have a baby can get 3 months off with pay? I wait to hear for Secretary Clinton to tell us why she is not supporting that legislation that the American people want to hear.
It's clear the debate is going to be joined on many issues, but just to be clear on this issue, you can't say today that you would vote for that 2005 legislation. You'd vote for some revisions on the manufacturers, but you're not prepared to say that the vote you made back in 2005 was wrong.
Look, I've cast over 10,000 votes in my life, and many pieces of legislation are complicated. They have good stuff in it, they have bad stuff in it. I am absolutely willing to take another look at that legislation and get rid of the onerous provisions when gun manufacturers, for example, are selling guns into an area and know that those guns are going into the hands of criminals. Absolutely, those gun manufacturers should be held accountable.
Finally, you have any problem with what Sean Penn did with El Chapo, that interview in Rolling Stone?
I haven't really thought about it much. I've been kind of running around Iowa. I read a little bit about it. So I have nothing much profound to say about it, except that I'm glad this, this drug cartel leader has been caught. People like him have done incredible harm to people in our country and to his own country.
Senator Sanders, thanks very much for your time this morning. When we come back,